The Astros look to continue baseball in Kansas City and give the Royals a royal welcome out of the season to gain more ground on the AL West. So let's talk about this and how they're going to separate themselves from the competition this weekend on this edition of Locked On Astros.
Alvarez hits a high drive center field. Beer leans back. This game is turned upside down. There's the runner. Fly ball down the right field line. Tucker comes on. Kyle Tucker. This time they finish the job.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. You can find me on Twitter at Eric Talks Stros. Find the show at Locked On Astros, your team every day. Brett, where can you find you at?
They can find me at HM Wellhouse on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. They can find me at Stros411 on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Always positive, always Stros.
Guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen. Whether it's on YouTube, we have already surpassed 9,000 subscribers. We're now reaching for 10,000 subscribers. So if you haven't joined the club, go ahead and join the Locked On Astros Nation Club and go ahead and subscribe to us on YouTube and become an everydayer, somebody that listens to our podcast every day on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. Go and check out the Locked On Astros podcast. And today's episode is brought to you by Jace Medical. Empower yourself when you purchase a Jace case, providing you with a personal supplies of 5 antibiotics that treat up to 50 plus infections. Get yours today at jacemedical.com. That's JASE medical.com. And Brett, we have 15 games left. The Astros are, depending on what happens in this Rangers game. Last I saw, the Rangers were leading tonight, but this is a tough and tight AL West. You got the Rangers coming after us. Luckily, we have a winning record against them this year. The Mariners are still trying to reach us, but they have the tiebreaker against us. But 15 games left. We'll talk about how many games left we have at home, how many games we have on the road left. And I'm sure you talked about it, but Kyle Tucker joined a special home run club in Houston Astros. And Hunter Brown, you talked about it yesterday, but I wanted to talk about what this means, not just for that one game, not just about what Dusty Baker said after the game about pulling him, why he pulled him as early as he did, but what this means for the postseason. And there's some questions the Astros have for the first time in a while about October, and Hunter Brown might have answered one of those questions. And then we're going to look, of course, to the Astros versus Royals, where my friend Scott, if you're watching right now, Scott, I'm sure you're going to one of those games in Kansas City. But yeah, let's get her done. 15 days, 15 games, and you're up 1 game to the Rangers as of right now. So let's get this show started.
Yeah, definitely. And it is important because especially if the Rangers do a 4-game sweep of the Blue Jays, man, aren't they a deck of cards? They fold every single year at the end of the season. I don't
Watch
know
out for receipts, Brett.
I'm just saying, I really think that I'm just surprised. I'm surprised that after as bad as the Rangers looked against us and then losing Max Scherzer, they're just continuing to charge, which just proves to you these are all major league players. They're all competitive. Right. You know, the Rangers have taken it personally because they've said it's our division to lose and they've lost the grips of the division. And so they're going to do everything they can to do to win it. And I wouldn't expect anything less. But with these 15 games, we've got some favorable matchups if the Astros can execute. And we've got some tougher matchups in a possible ALCS matchup if it goes down this way. Kansas City for 3 games. Baltimore at home for 3 games. Then Kansas City comes to Houston. Maybe if they like what the Astros do to them in Kansas City, they want to come to Houston for some more. And then Seattle in the AL West. And look, they will be charging. And Seattle has an interesting conundrum because they have us, plus they have the Rays, and they have the Rangers all in their last several games. And then we wind up the season with Arizona. Arizona's got 1 or 2 Cy Young caliber pitchers. So you don't know who you're going to run into in that last series. So yeah, Eric, our work is cut out for us. It is definitely one of those things where you start wondering with our 38 and 37 home record, and what is it, 43 42 and 27, I believe, at home. I may be one or two off on the home or away, but we wonder what it's going to take to get this team over the top, especially if we have a home field advantage, if we do win the AL West, and what are our splits between home and road. And we'll get to that here in a second. But Eric, I think Kansas City, this is an important series. It may be the Royals, it may be a 1-15 Greinke, it may be a down and out club, but they want to be spoilers. Greinke's going to want to pitch well against his old club, and we have to make sure that we don't allow a sweep from the Yankees and 2 losses to the A's hurt us in the end. So the Astros really are behind the 8 ball here.
Right. The Astros are 45 and 27 on away, if that's what you said. So
yeah.
They have scored 758 runs, and they've allowed 637. So that's a plus 121 run differential. The Rangers have a plus 161 run differential, and the Mariners have a plus 104 run differential. And if you look at the playoff odds, according to ESPN, the Astros have a 97% chance, the Rangers have a 79% chance, and the Mariners have a 77.3% chance. The Royals, they have a E next to them, but so did the A's. The A's had an E next to their name. And so what you got to understand is that these teams, they have some pride. They know that the A's have now lost 100 games. The Royals have already lost 101 games. So they have some pride. And you know what the best way to get over a 100-loss season? To go ahead and disrupt the Houston Astros path to the World Series. And so this is their World Series. This is their way to shine and bring out all the kids and just let's see what we can do against the Astros, because there's a lot of history between these two teams, between the 2000 was it 14 or 15 the ALDS where
ALDS versus the Royals. Yes, when I was
still remember game 4 with all those hits, singles left and right, and everything like that. But yeah, the Royals, Brett, are a team that could be a little scary. They do have a lot of young hitters, not quite as good as that young talent pool they had going there for a few years. But that Reagans kid, we'll talk about him a little bit, Cole Reagans, the guy that the Rangers traded away for Aroldis Chapman, since he's gone over there, he's become basically Cy Young, and he's probably going to be leading that staff for many years. And this is probably going to go down as one of the worst trades in Rangers history.
Yeah. Wow, man. Eric called it. Eric bookmarked that on 9/14, 8:40 p.m. The worst trade in Rangers. Basically, he's calling this the Larry Anderson to the Royals Jeff Bagwell is what he's saying. Thank you, Boston Red Sox forever. And thank you to the Dodgers for Josh Fields, taking him off our hands and giving us Yordan Alvarez. That's a gift that keeps on giving. Yordan hit an absolute laser the other day. I mean, you got to talk about that home run, dude. 117.7 miles an hour off the bat, Eric. The hardest hit ball in the Astros history in the StatCast era, which I was like shocked that was the hard. I thought maybe we had 119, 120, right? Yeah, 117.7 miles per hour, almost 118 miles per hour off the bat. And when he hit it, it was just like, and he kind of leaned. There's a picture of him leaning because it literally careened and it curved, it boomeranged around the foul pole. And I think it went, you know how there's that place you can stand behind the foul pole in between the bullpen boxes and the field box seats, and they had that little food stand right there. I think the ball went into the concourse over there.
Okay. Did they check on everybody? Did anybody get hurt? Did anybody get a concussion?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think anybody got. Can you imagine? You like walking with like a funnel cake or something. Bam! You get knocked in the head with a Yordan ball.
One of those margaritas. Right. Or worse, the ball hits the margarita, knocks it down with those expensive margaritas.
The guy walks into work the next day. He's like, man, those El Tiempo margaritas hit different. Hey, real quick. I will answer this question real quick, and then we can talk about home and road splits after we talk about one of our sponsors. But Stanek, look, he's been in the dugout. He has been throwing on the field. He was doing workouts, so it looks like he's probably going to be back sooner rather than later. It seems like he is actually moving around pretty well. He's not limping at all. But let me tell you about our sponsor, Jace Medical, because modern medical care and treatment are important, but our global supply chain, it's fragile. And in Southeast Texas or along the coast, we've all felt the pain of being cut off from treatment that we need in times of need, in times of peril. And there's no need to worry anymore. Why? Because Jace Medical is your solution. Just fill out the online form, and one of their board certified physicians will review it to determine whether medications are safe and appropriate for you. They're not just going to send you medications willy-nilly. They want to make sure it's right for you. Then they will send your prescriptions to one of their partner pharmacies where your Jace order will be filled and mailed directly to your home. And not only this, but you can send your physician a message for answers to treatment-related questions anytime. Everyone should be empowered to care for themselves and their loved ones during the unexpected. That's why Jace Medical offers the Jace case. Save more than $360 getting these life-saving antibiotics with Jace Medical, plus an additional $20 off by using my code Locked On at checkout on jacemedical.com. That's JASE medical.com. And please, if you are going to catch the Royals on the radio, you can catch the Astros and Royals play at Friday, 6:10 p.m. Central Standard Time. Catch every pitch of the Astros hometown broadcast with SiriusXM on the SXM app. Search Astros. I almost turned this into a Locked On Royals podcast.
This is not Locked On
My
Royals.
bad. Hey, okay.
Name 9 players on the Royals team without looking.
Name 9. Okay, Bobby Witt Jr., Zach Greinke, Salvador Perez.
I just said one.
Menendez. Reagan's.
I think that's 4 or 5.
George Brett, Bo Jackson. Mike Moustakas, Eric Hosmer
is not Locked On.
Dan Quisenberry, Brett Saberhagen. Come on, let's go with the old Royals. Bruce Sutter. I think he played for the Royals. I know he pitched for the Dodgers. For the Braves. But anyways, so dude, let's look at this. This is interesting.
Hey, you forgot young Zach Greinke.
Oh yeah,
young Zach Greinke and old Zach Greinke. They're 2 different pitchers.
Young and old Zach Greinke were both grunters. All right, so right here, the Astros, because Eric asked me before the show. He was like, "Where can we find these home road splits?" And I was like, "I think it's on Fangraphs." So Eric started looking and he found it, and we started looking where the Astros rank among teams. And actually, with their record, Eric, being the way it is, I thought their average was a little bit higher than I thought it was going to be. But then again, they're only ranked 16th. They're hitting 251 at home. And the Kansas City Royals actually have a higher home batting average than they do. So do the Nationals. So do the Rockies. So I guess the Rockies are going to have a high batting average regardless. Miami Marlins have a higher average at 269. The highest average, Boston and Atlanta. And then Texas. So
that means if we had Yuli Gurriel on our team, we'd have a higher home batting average.
That means Yuli Gurriel would be worth 20 points on the batting average. That's right. But this is what's interesting too. So let's look at the long ball, Eric. Where are we? We're 17th with 83 home runs. Okay.
At home?
At home. And then runs, the Astros are 11th, 339. So that's not terrible. They're at least almost top 10, but Texas and Atlanta are both in all these categories. I mean, it's insane.
Well, considering the Astros have 201 home runs, going to look at the road stats while I'm talking, but they have 201 home runs overall. So that means they have 120 something on the road. And their team batting average has actually gone up a lot this season. It was at the bottom of the league. I know batting average is not everything, but it does show that they are making better contact and getting on base. There's 3 teams ahead of the Astros in terms of batting average right now. This is not at home or on the road. This is for the season. It's the Braves with a 275 batting average, the Rangers with a 267 batting average, and the GM-less Red Sox with a 263 batting average, and then you have the Astros with the 260 batting average. So that has gone up way wonders from, I think it was 220 or 215 at one point.
Yeah. So look, I'm going to flip the script because I know someone listening to this on the next day is going to be like, batting average is not a good stat to measure the team. So I pulled up the advanced away splits for the Astros. They have their second in OPS with 800. The only team higher, the Atlanta Braves. They're over the Dodgers and the Rays and a lot of other teams. WRC plus, they're second, Eric. They're second in the league with 119. A WOBA of 344. I mean, look at this. On base percentage, 339. That puts them, second. Dude, the Dodgers are ahead of them there, but batting average wise, they are second. They're only 2 points, 268 under 270 to the Braves. Now, this is what's interesting. Strikeout percentage, they are fourth with strikeouts away. I'm gonna look what they are strikeouts at home, but this is interesting.
Third fewest strikeouts overall. Yeah,
exactly. But let's see, what do they do at home? Do they strike out? I'm assuming they strike out more at home. Let's see. At home, they are at they're at 19.4%. They strike out less at home.
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, we see them making a lot of contact. We see them making a lot of contact, and they don't normally rack up a lot of strikeouts. They just kind of pop up, and they have the weak ground balls. And like we saw in the first game versus the A's, there's a lot of just weak contact. And I talked about in my solo show where a lot of people have been talking about, well, it's the hitter's background, the batter's eye. Well, everybody has to deal with that. And you've had the offensive juggernauts, the 2019 Astros that have dealt with that. The World Series winning Astros in 2017 dealt with that. The World Series winning 2022 Astros dealt with that. So I don't think that's the excuse. I just think that there's the team's just not performing the way they're used to. But so
there was a theory on that, and he briefly mentioned it. Jeremy Booth from KHOU, him and Bristol were talking about it on their podcast, and he said he thinks it's a comfort thing. He said he thinks that there's a lot of distractions at home, batting practice, signing autographs. He said on the road, like, you have your routine. He said on the road, you have your routine, you're locked in. And basically what he said was, I think it made a lot of people mad. He was like, I don't care what y'all think, but basically what he said was, leave them alone, let them do their job. And I was like, I mean, if we're searching for answers when we don't know them, I mean, that's obviously a possibility. But I do think it does have to do, and you and I have talked about this, it does have to do with comfort. It does have to do with, I mean, look, not to be morbid about this, but driving, most accidents occur within 10 miles of your home. And actually within 2 miles of your home, the chances go up even higher because you're so familiar with your surroundings. You're less alert because you're so familiar, versus when you go out of town, you don't know where things are, so you're alert, your eyes are moving. And maybe when they come home, maybe it's just they're comfortable. Someone said maybe we need to go through the games and act like we are away fans and boo them, and I'm like, I don't want to go that far. But Eric,
I said cheaters at one point. Remember?
Oh, that's right. Did you yell that at the stadium?
No, I would not do that.
Okay.
I could not do that against.
That was Eric. That was Eric. I'm gonna tell Win and the sign lady on you. But look, we do need to look at their home and road splits with their pitching too, because I think that's also an interesting look as well.
Yeah. And ERA has gone up. They've spent most of the season at the top 3 in ERA, and I was looking at that, and it's not so good recently. Like they're top 10 in ERA, and their bullpen is actually better than their starters at this point. So it's
But
kind of
ERA across the league is up. I mean, it's up big time. I mean, if they wanted more hitting, they got it. So let's do this. Let me tell the people about FanDuel, and then we'll get into the pitching splits here, because FanDuel is a great sponsor to talk about. We just had our first week of the NFL. The Texans didn't win, but look, there's signs of hope out there. So get ready for the NFL season with the incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Now is the best time to join FanDuel. That app is easy to use, and you can bet on everything from spreads to player props and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season the right way with an offer you don't want to miss. Who knows? Look, we know Aaron Rodgers is out for the Jets. So who is going to make it to the Super Bowl in the AFC? Is it going to be Josh Allen's year? Are the Detroit Lions going to finally become a playoff team that makes moves and turns heads? Find out at FanDuel. FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL. And if you're going to go watch anything, whether it's Astros, whether it's U of H Cougars, whether it's Texans or Dynamo, I don't care. Just go to Hooters. Okay, go to Hooters. Why? Because Hooters makes you happy. Every week, buy one, get one wings on Monday and Wednesday. Also, they have Big Daddy Bundle and wings, $19.99 on Thursdays, Fridays. Crab legs, $19.83 at the Pearland and NASA Hooters. They have karaoke every Thursday night after Thursday night football, and they have happy hour till close. Eric, you're a big guy with karaoke, and so this is something that if you go to one of these Hooters, you may see Eric show up and do his thing, because I've seen him do his thing. He's pretty good at karaoke.
Plus, don't forget about the $10 specials. I just started drinking. What is it? The Blue
Moon.
Blue Moon, yes. So that's got a great taste, and it's $10 for a pitcher on Tuesdays and Thursdays nights. So go check it out. Hooters makes you happy, and it's a great place to go watch the game if you can't go to game or you don't have the cable channel. So, guys, also tomorrow's game is the start of the end of the stretch for the Houston Astros, and you can catch all the game-by-game, the play-by-play action at SiriusXM. Just go and download the SXM app and search Astros, and you can hear all the play-by-play of the Astros beating up on the old Zach Greinke, not the young Zach Greinke, like when he was good. But this is going to bring up a lot of interesting memories, like just facing like having Zach Greinke on our team and hearing the grunts and all his shenanigans that kind of go on the sidelines. Like I remember during COVID, he would go sit in the stands and everything, sit with all the little cardboard cutouts and everything. So, but that's just who he is. And as a player, yes, he was going downhill a little bit, but as a leader, as a just somebody to root for, that's what Zach Greinke was. And he's going to be facing Christian Javier on Friday night. So Christian Javier needs to show, hey, I'm the captain. I can throw no hitters in the playoffs. I can throw no hitters against, or combine no hitters against the Yankees. So he's got to go out there and show what he wants to do. And there's a lot of questions that the Astros have going into this postseason. And I know you have some stats for me in a second, but we got to answer some of these questions. And Hunter Brown put his best foot forward this last start. JP France, even though he had the 5 walks the game before, he actually had a moment of like, oh, wait, this is what I need to do. And he recovered. So these young pitchers are starting to figure out what to do. Now it's up to Christian Javier. It's his turn to say, I got this. I got you, coach.
No, yeah, exactly. And that's a good point. And I think that leads us into the discussion of the home and road splits with the pitching staff, because JP France has been probably the lone consistent bright spot on this rotation. Framber has had probably more good moments than bad moments, but there's been inconsistencies. And there was a definite plan, and we'll talk about that with Brown and why he left early. I discussed it last night, and I actually hadn't heard Dusty's full explanation until the next morning. But Javier is in a position where he really needs to prove that he can come back from this, that he can, with all these struggles, that it makes him a better pitcher, that it makes him a more stalwart warrior, because these teams are behind us. They are nipping at our heels. And when you get to the playoffs, all bets are off. Right. The bottom line is nobody cares how many games you win in the regular season. We've seen 81 win teams go to the World Series. We've seen 116 win teams fail to get to the World Series. So the regular season matters, just getting into the playoffs. Once you're in there, then you have your work cut out for you. And if we're talking about home, because if we do win the division, we would have, Eric, home field advantage. And our pitchers are 12th in Ks per 9 inning. Our FIP is 14th in the league, which is you want it to be better. But our walks, I'm looking at our walks, we're 18th. We're 3.2 walks per 9.
Yeah,
that needs to go down.
Have been wild recently. Yeah.
Javier's been. You mentioned Javier. Valdez. He's been walking. Valdez. Look, and Hunter Brown. What did he do yesterday? I mean, 7 strikeouts, only 2 walks, no hits. I mean, it was a great 5 innings for him, and he did that all in 78 pitches. So it was efficient, and that's what they need to do. They really need to work on that.
Thoughts by Dusty.
All right, so this is what Dusty Baker had to say. I don't know if you got to this in the show yesterday, but this is what he had to say about Hunter Brown and why he had to leave early. So at 78 pitches, he said, that's the first real positive that he's had in a few starts. He probably only had one more inning, but we wanted to send him out on a high note. So, Brett, you just said something positive. I'm going to go ahead and cut you out and send you out on a high note. So bye. I'll see you tomorrow. This is Eric with the Locked On Astros podcast. So that's essentially what Dusty Baker.
Oh, I'm positive that I'm going to cut you out. That was awesome. That was a good illustration, Eric. Thank you. But go ahead.
Yes. But I think in a way, as a struggling learner, sometimes if you give them less work and they do well on it, then you're going to go ahead and accept it. Say, okay, look, I see your progress. I see that you're making steps in the right direction. And then be like, give them praise and say, great job. Let's do some more of this. And I think that's what Dusty Baker was doing here. So I know I made a joke out of it and cut you out and everything, but I think this was a good thing. And I think that Brown put his best foot forward for the playoff rotation. And I know a lot of people have been hating on Javier, but Javier has, I know I don't want to use this phrase, but look at the back of his baseball card. Look at all his accomplishments in the playoffs. So if he can get back to that, he deserves to be in a rotation too. So if all of a sudden all these guys start clicking, that's great. But you got 9 road games, 6 home games. So that's advantage to Astros. Yes, we're going to be playing the Orioles, the Mariners, and the Diamondbacks. They're all good teams. But the Astros have a chance, and they've got to win every game they can. No more excuses. I know that somebody put on Twitter all the different comparisons between Martin Maldonado and Diaz. And Diaz, everything says start Diaz. And Diaz's hitting stats could actually be better because he doesn't perform as good as the DH. He does better when he is a catcher. So I know there's a lot of talk about, well, what is this Dusty preferring that he catches these pitchers, or is the pitchers doing it? So I don't think it's look, if a pitcher wants Diaz, I don't think Dusty overrides, especially some of these veterans. I mean, Justin Verlander
Joseph Verlander commands who's behind the plate. Christian Javier, the way he's been, I'm fine with Maldi being back there. But someone did make a good point. If during these weaker games or these weaker teams that we play, if we're not willing to put Diaz behind the plate to get some experience in games that are lower risk, like the A's, like the Royals, with these veteran pitchers, in the off chance, and I don't want this to happen, that Maldi can't play, do you want the first time Diaz catches one of these guys in the playoffs? Now, I think Yiner can handle it. I don't think it would be a disaster, but I would much rather my young catcher get some experience with these guys. Someone's asking us, do we think the Astros are going to go with the 4-man or 5-man rotation? They're going to go with the 4-man rotation. I don't see them going with the 5-man unless someone steps it up and just really kicks it into fifth gear. They'll go with the 4-man rotation. If they have a fifth, they may do a piggyback type start because they have had a lot of inconsistencies out there. But dude, Hunter Brown, look, he went out there, he did his job, and he locked it in, and he looked more confident than I've seen him look in the last month and a half. And so that is a good turnaround for him. Where JP France has been solid in that area, Hunter Brown noticeably gets upset. And one of the guys up here said that he noticed Hunter Brown when he was throwing off the mound wasn't falling towards the dugout. He was saying straight down. He was pitching what I would call, when I'm coaching pitchers, downhill.
Yeah.
When you're throwing downhill, not going to the right or the left, you command the zone better.
And that's more like what we saw a little bit last year. I know he's working on his mechanics as well. He's trying to go away from the Justin Verlander delivery a little bit. But a lot of people are saying, well, it doesn't matter who makes it to the World Series. It's the Braves year. The Braves team is this juggernaut. They have Acuna Jr. Then they also have Matt Olson, who has 50 home runs or 50 plus home runs.
Yeah.
But actually, I saw a stat today that said only 25% of the teams with baseball's best record went on to win the World Series. That's 7 of the last 28. And some of the losers include the 2002 Mariners, the 2010 Phillies, and the 2022 Dodgers, who won 111 games. The team that wins the most in the regular season doesn't always win the World Series. And that's why you just get into the dance. Once you get to the dance, then you some teams just have a knack of turning things on, and that's what the Houston Astros do.
And look, we're not. I know some people. Someone's commenting on here saying we're like being too nonchalant. We're not worried about the competition. Oh no, we fully respect the competition. We fully know that. Look, the Phillies. Who picked the Phillies to go to the World Series this last year? Who picked the Nationals? Who picked the Braves? The Braves, when we did our pre-World Series shows, we all
even the host was like, no.
Even Locked On Braves, like, oh yeah, Astros in 5. Like nobody saw that coming.
Right.
So you still have to play the series. So as much as I'm not saying it's a guarantee, you shouldn't be saying, well, I definitely know they're not going to win. I'm like, really? You're an Astros fan. Why are you going to go there? Let it play out. If they don't win, look, this team has some holes in it. But if they do win, it's going to be because of their experience. It's going to be because they did the right things at the right time and they executed, Eric. But this series, look, going into it, we've got some interesting matchups, and we'll talk about this as we wrap up this show because we don't want to go too long. Javier versus Greinke in game 1, Eric. Like you said, Javier needs to be on. Look, Greinke's 1-15. Okay. I think the 15 losses have a lot more to do with his offense than it does his pitching, but he does have a 5.47 ERA. It's almost a full run more. Right. It's a full run more than Javier. Then you have JP France against Reagans, who
that's going to be a great matchup.
A good matchup there on Saturday. And then Sunday, Framber Valdez versus Jordan Lyles, a former Astros farmhand who came up through the Astros system. He's 4-16 with a 6.44 ERA. The Astros have to win at least 2 of 3. I'm not saying they have to sweep, but they have to win 2 of 3. The Rangers are now winning 9-2 against the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays have just absolutely gone belly up. And so, which I guess is good. That eliminates another team that we have to worry about catching us or getting close to us. If worst case scenario, we tie the Rangers, we own the tiebreaker with them, but we've got to stay over the Mariners. As long as we're above the Rangers or tied with them, I'm fine. But we have to stay above the Mariners because they own the tiebreaker, and we do not want to get into that. We don't want the Rangers and the Mariners deciding and kicking us out of the playoffs last minute.
Yes, and if you're looking at, I said I was going to mention this. Kyle Tucker hit his 100th home run yesterday. I'm sure you talked about it, but most home runs in by a left-handed batter in Astros history. Jose Cruz with 138, Alvarez with 125, and Kyle Tucker now with 100. So that's an exclusive list, and the Astros they need to win. No excuses from this point on. They need to put their best lineup out there and just play like their backs are against the wall, because their backs are literally against the wall because the Rangers are coming. Oops, wrong one. I was like,
Eric took us to the spa.
I was like a little bit off there, but yes. So I had something else to say, but that messed me up. But anyway, that's all we got for this edition of Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. You can find me on Twitter at Eric Astros. You can find the show at Locked On Astros, and you can find this guy at H-Town Wheelhouse. And we will see you next week on Sunday, talking about hopefully a good series versus Royals. And Brett.
Hey, man, thanks for hanging out with us. Help get us to 9,500 and even 10,000. We're giving away some cool things. Be listening. We've got a live event coming up September 29th at Pearland Hooters. We'll give you more details next week. You'll have a good one, and go Stros.